See, look who I have here. That's Thomas Eisl from Vienna, and I'm in beautiful Vienna. Look at the background. What is this place? Do you know?
Well, actually, it is the so-called Schmetterlingshaus. So it's the butterfly house. It is one of the last actually insect zoos, right here in the middle of Vienna. It's pretty small, but it's pretty cool. So if you're into insects, Vienna's got you covered with the butterfly house.
But this time we're not talking about macro photography.
No. Well,
but yes, if you're into that, that's probably a place to visit. How do you separate document from street photography, or is it the same thing? What do you think?
Well, that's actually quite interesting because, in my opinion, street photography should have a documentary aspect.
Yeah.
Because if it's just a good street photo, then there might be not enough story. So I really like a photo with a bit of text. I don't know. It was captured in Vienna. The mood was like this. I felt this. I think that the documentary aspect is also a great thing to have in street photography. What do you think, Peter?
Yeah, I absolutely agree, because the reason I asked this question, because you have this Instagram account which is like a reportage document street photography.
Yes.
And also reportage is kind of document and street photography, same thing. And what I liked about one particular image was the Lada that you took in Hungary. And you had 2 images, and then you showed 6 other images and showed kind of like the contact sheet of that particular thing. And I was wondering that, because I think you picked the exact right photographs. The other ones went, they were but that's, is that your approach, that you kind of like look around and then you take several shots and see which one is the best one?
I think there are 2 things to that. First and foremost, I'd like to emphasize that's also my favorite shot. When I saw this Lada there, first I saw it from behind and I was like, okay, that's the thing. The trip to Budapest is actually worth it just because of that, right? And you have these moments.
Yes, exactly.
And then you're like, okay, even if all other shots do not make the cut, that's okay. So really, that was special. And but what I knew instantly is that I have to work the shot, and I think that this is really a very important thing. If you see something like the Lada, then you don't stop with the first image, right? Don't just stop and say, okay, now I've got the shot. No, work it. Try all different things, right? With digital cameras, the shot is basically free. So
exactly,
go for it. And of course you have to sort it out later, which can be difficult. But if you think about the old days, right? You also had the contact sheets, so you were doing the same thing. You had to figure out which one is the best, and
exactly.
I think so. Working the shot is always good, and you can come up with different stories then, right?
That's true.
You can take 2 shots like this; it tells the story like that, or you can.
But I think you kind of told the story with 2 shots. You had the side shot of the car, which is kind of like a type of shot that I like. It's a little bit deadpan because you don't have any depth. It's just like a flat shot, which is sometimes I always talk about you should have 3D. But for some reason, it was still. And then you had the interior shot, so you had kind of like the story of the car, and it actually was in pretty good shape, which is astonishing because it was probably remodeled. And
totally.
So,
may I drop in with one thing really quick? Because you said, well, these flat shots. I completely agree. I think these flat shots only work when you're doing something like the neue Sachlichkeit, right? So if you say, okay, I want this to be as neutral as possible, but then, as you said, I completely agree. You have to follow up with something different, especially if the thing should work like a single shot, right?
Yeah.
Then
yeah, that's true. But of course, one big part of that image was that it was the color of red.
Yeah.
If it was white or gray, it probably wouldn't have been that striking. You also had other shots that had the color red. Was that a coincidence, or did you just go for that? Because I think that the images that you had there was a nice set of kind of like a series of kind of like well, body of work is too much to say, but like 6 or 5 or whatever the amount. It was a nice set of shots. And as you said, that when you get one shot, I did get a couple of shots yesterday when I was here in Vienna photographing by myself, which made me so happy. I know that those are bangers, even though I say myself. And it's funny how it lifts your whole thing. I don't know what you call it, the whole attitude and the whole thing to get those few shots. And at least for me, the biggest thing is just to start. If you see something interesting, just photograph it. Don't worry if it's nothing. I think people stress and take too much pressure at getting the best shot. You don't get it if you stress it too much. Just relax and take those shots. And probably that we talked earlier, you have a similar approach, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. And of course, the few images I put on Instagram and even the few images I showed in my YouTube video, well, actually there are hundreds and hundreds of photos of this trip, out of focus, bad framing, just really bad photographs. But I think that it is also. So if I let me rephrase that, because you said, well, you just have to start and you just have to take the shot. Did I get that correct?
Yes.
Yeah? And I think it is really like you have to get these shots out there, because once the shutter starts clicking, you get the feeling, and then the good shots are coming. But so really, volume is great, and just do it, because then you suddenly you got the one, and then you get this rush, and you say, okay, now I can do it.
Yeah. Well, so you said about the quantity. Usually, of course, it doesn't go over quality in the long run. But the way I do it is that I start, and when I start, I shoot a lot. But when I'm in the phase and in the mood, then I start photographing less and less and less, and getting better and better shots.
Yes.
And it's all about observing. When you see something, you kind of have to be ready, and at least I sometimes try to pre-visualize what could happen, and astonishingly sometimes does. Something does happen.
Yeah.
But not always, and there are a lot of shots that, like you said, that there are lots of stuff that doesn't go because you can't control how people are moving and things are moving in the city. It's just pure luck sometimes.
Exactly, but one question from my side, if you allow. The thing is, so pre-visualizing, right? Usually you associate that with being in one place, you see the surroundings and everything, and then you say, okay, I pre-visualize there. But I think there is also, at least for me, there is a pre-visualization process even when you walk through the city, right?
Exactly.
Is that for you the same thing?
Yeah, I actually had a video about how you can improve your photography without even taking a single shot, and that was one part, that when you walk, you kind of sometimes you do this, and hey, there's a shot right there, and then you kind of remember the place, the time, and then you start thinking, wait, maybe this is in the afternoon when the sun is over there, this is better. Stuff like that. And if it's your hometown, just go there when it's better. Of course, when you're traveling, you can't really know. Everything is new, because I haven't been in Vienna before, so everything I see is new, and of course that makes it also interesting.
Yeah. So here is a question. So what happens to me when I'm in a city the first time really, then you're of course nervous, because if you're staying for 3 days, it could very well be that you end up with 1 or 2 shots only, right? So that is, how do you overcome that? Because when I'm there, honestly, I'm like, okay, I have to come up with 1 or 2 shots at least to tell the story of my trip, to show that and to convey the feeling. So how do you get there, like from a mindset perspective? Is there a trick?
Well, it's a bit divided. If I was not making any YouTube videos, I wouldn't really care, because if I get 1 shot and I can put it on my portfolio, it's good enough, because I already have, let's say, like 50 or 100 photographs that makes my portfolio. But when I'm making YouTube videos, 1 good shot is not enough. It's not believable. I have to get, and that of course is a bit kind of stressful sometimes, even though I enjoy it a lot. But it also makes me make those images. I push myself, because I know I need a few more, and that helps a lot.
Yeah.
And it's a state of mind, and it's really hard to explain. Don't kind of like be overwhelmed, because when you're traveling, you want to explore the vibes and the things. Everything doesn't have to be photographed, and you need to enjoy the travel or the photos, because I just enjoy making the image. The moment I click the shutter is satisfying to me, and if something comes out, it's even better. That's how I feel.
So a lot of photographers told me that when they go with this high quantity approach, right? So that we are kind of advocating that to a degree, to get the shots out. Then they end up with 500 images. You probably end up with a similar amount, and then they are frustrated because they feel like they have to, they have to sort through all the rubbish and find the good ones, right? How is it? Is there so how do you go about this culling thing? Yeah?
I'm just trying to figure out how I can. I've been here 2 days and 193 photographs.
Oh, really? That
2
is.
days. It's not that much.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I don't tend to shoot a ton.
Okay.
So, if I understood the question correctly, I don't shoot that much. I don't know how many people.
Okay.
Please let us know in the comments down below how many shots do you have a day if you go traveling abroad. And I don't tend to take those tourist shots that much. Of course, sometimes if I see a nice like this, I might take it just a memory, because that's what I always say too, that never underestimate the power of memory of a photograph, because you go back to those images, and an image of a person on a street, you can take that in any city. But
True.
For example, a picture of that, it's only here.
Yeah.
So don't forget those, even though I don't take those that much, because I don't.
It's really hard, right, to incorporate these tourist shots into a street photography portfolio. And when I compiled these Budapest shots, I had these tourist shots in there, right? But I was like, okay, there is like this tourist place, and then I've got like a classic street photo, and it's really it's high art to get tourist places with street photos combined in a reportage, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it is. And one problem that I sometimes also address is that the hardest part is to pick the best ones yourself, because you are kind of emotionally attached to the moment you took the photograph.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you're sitting in a restaurant, you're having a glass of wine or something, and you're feeling good, and maybe you have some company, loved ones with you, you're feeling really good, and you take some shots, that reminds you of the feeling you had when you took the shot. The photograph might be rubbish for some, but it's an important photograph for you, of course, but it's not something that you put in your portfolio if others can't feel the feeling that you had. And that's the hardest part. It's called killing your darlings in a way.
Exactly.
And that's the hardest part.
And that's a situation where I think that social media is doing actually a great job. For example, if you go to your Instagram feed and you just keep pushing those photos out, you're gonna notice immediately that some of the shots are your darlings, but nobody else's darlings.
Exactly.
And then you can utilize that in a way to grow as a photographer, and you can get better by doing that.
But hey, this has been a very excellent talk, but I think we should do some photography now.
Absolutely.
But hey, that's Thomas Eisl, and check out his channel. I'll put the link in the description, and thanks for watching, and bye for now.